Alright, today we're going to be going over circles. So within circles in geometry there are 5 components, which is the radius. The radius is just the basis of the circle. It's also, you could remember it as half the diameter. The diameter is just double the radius. That's the diameter. The circumference, think of it as the perimeter of the circle, or the shape rather. That would just be pi 2r, so it would be pi times the diameter. The area is pi r squared, so that's just area of the whole shape, everything inside of it. And a chord, there isn't an exact equation for a chord, but all you guys need to do is recognize what a secant or a chord line is. These are just chords. They're never longer than the diameter, but they do meet at 2 points in a circle. So those will just be chords, lines like that. So let's try some practice problems to better understand these topics. Alright, so we have 4 questions here, all in each for the sections. So the first question is find the area, and we're given that the radius is 2 inches. Now that we know the radius is 2 inches, the area of a circle is pi r squared 2. So all we need to do is just plug in 2, which would give us pi 2 squared, and our final answer would just be 4 pi. So a second problem is that we have to find the circumference, and we're given that the diameter of the circle is 5 inches. Now the circumference equation for a circumference is just pi times the diameter. So all we need to do is just plug in the diameter, and that would give us 5 pi. That would be the diameter of the circumference of the circle. So this question, we're given that the circumference is 10 inches and we need to find the diameter. So we still know that the circumference of a circle is pi times the diameter. Now if we set it to 10 inches, which is the circumference, now all we need to do is get d by itself. So if we divide by pi on both sides, then it would just give us the diameter of the circle is equal to 10 over pi inches. So that would be your final answer. Now the last question, we're given that the area of the circle is 20 inches and we need to find the radius. Now we know that the area of a circle is pi r squared, and we need to find the radius, and the area of the circle is 20 inches. So now if we do the same thing as the last problem where we set it equal to 20, then now all we need to do is get r by itself. So first we would divide the constants, which is pi 3.14. Or of course you don't have to use 3.14. Most times you just need to put it in terms of pi. So if you divide by pi on both sides, it would give you r squared is equal to 20 over pi. Now in order to get r as a lone figure, we'd have to square root it. So if we square root both sides, it would give us r is equal to the square root of 20 over pi. Now if you were to put that in a calculator, that would give you approximately 2.52. So in that case, that would be your final answer, but this is also a viable answer, the square root of 20 over pi. So now let's do some problems. Let's do some problems on our own. I want you guys to try these problems on your own, so you could pause the video and then try them on your own. Alright, so let's get on to the first question. So the area of this circle is 10 inches. We need to find the diameter. So we know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. So we could just set it equal to 10 inches because that's the area of the circle. So now if we find the radius alone, because we know the diameter is just the radius times 2. So we could just find the radius. So let's take out the constants. Let's divide by pi on both sides. We get r squared is equal to 10 over pi. And then we just square root everything. So if we square root everything, we get r is equal to the square root of 10 over pi. That's the radius. So in order to get the diameter, we just multiply it by 2. So our final answer will be 2 square root 10 over pi is equal to the diameter. That'll be your final answer. So for the second question, we get that the diameter of the circle is 4 inches, and we need to find the radius. So we know that the diameter of the circle is just 2r. So if we set it equal to 4 inches, we could just divide by 2 on both sides, and we're left with r, which is equal to 2 inches. So the radius of this circle is just 2 inches. So in this question, we're given that the circumference of the circle is 3 inches, and we need to find the radius. So in order to find the circumference of the circle, we know that this is the equation you have to use, pi 2r. So if we set that equal to 3 inches, then we could just start dividing. We could divide it by 2 pi on both sides. So in that case, we just get that the radius is equal to 3 over 2 pi. Or you could just set it as 3 over 2 times pi. So that would be your final answer for this. So for the last question, we get that the radius is 1 inch, and we need to find the circumference. Now we already know the equation to find the circumference is pi 2r. So we just plug in the radius, which is 1 inch. So if we plug that in, we get pi 2 in parentheses 1. If you deduct that, then that's just 2 pi. So that would be your answer, circumference. Alright, that's all about circles, and remember to always know the formulas for each, diameter, radius, and circumference, on how to convert them. As long as you know how to convert them, you can find any property about the circle and excel at it.